There's a moment, and nobody warns you it's coming, when you realize your kid isn't looking at you anymore. They're looking at your situation. They're looking. Not the man who taught them to drive. Not the man who showed up every single time, no questions asked. Just the apartment that costs too much. The budget that doesn't stretch far enough. The age on the calendar. And a spare bedroom on the second floor that would, in their mind, solve everything, if you'd just say yes. David had that moment at 72. His son Kevin drove 2 hours on a Sunday, sat across from him at the kitchen table, made his case quietly, carefully, the way you present something to someone you're no longer sure can handle the decision on their own. And somewhere, in the middle of that conversation, David told me this later. Over coffee that had gone completely cold, he felt it, that specific hollow feeling of being loved in a way that no longer includes being trusted. Now look, nearly 4 million Americans over 65 are living with an adult child right now. 4 million. Most of them will tell you it's fine. And maybe it is. But fewer will tell you what it actually costs. Not in money. In that slow, daily erosion you don't even notice happening. The quiet realization that the life you're living isn't really yours anymore. David knew that cost before he paid it. So he pushed the keys across the table, the shiny new set Kevin had brought. Sitting on top of a floor plan David had already folded in half and set aside, and said 3 words I haven't stopped thinking about since. I just need it to be mine. Here's what David didn't tell me right away. He almost called Kevin back that same night. He sat in his apartment, the one he rents month to month, costs more than it should for what it is, and ran the numbers. Again, the way you do when you already know the answer but keep running it anyway, hoping something changes. Nothing changed. Kevin's offer was still right there. 1 call away. Free, practical, the responsible thing to do. He told me he had his hand on the phone for a good 10 minutes. And here's where I want you to stay with me for a second. Because if you've ever been, in a version of that room, and I think more of you have than would ever say so out loud, it's not just the money pulling at you. It's the guilt. Kevin made a real offer. He drove 2 hours. He sat down and made his case like a man who'd rehearsed it the whole way there. And here's David, sitting across from him, thinking about saying no. Not because Kevin isn't being kind. He is. Completely. But David could already see it, huh? I mean, clear as day. Before it even happened, he could see what that move would do. You walk through that door with a suitcase, and something shifts. Doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. One day, your kid's asking how you're doing. Next day, he's asking how you're managing. And I'll tell you what, those are not the same question. Not even close. You go from being his father to being his situation. And once that switch flips, you don't flip it back. David had spent 40 years being nobody's burden. He wasn't about to start now. But here's the part nobody talks about. And I mean nobody. Not really. The shame of it. Because there's a quiet, sitting right in your chest kind of shame that comes with this. The kind you don't say out loud, not even to yourself, not fully. You're 72. You did the work. You showed up. Every single time. And somehow, here you are at 2 a.m, running numbers that just don't add up, needing to downsize at all. That's not where you thought you'd be. And that's a hard thing to sit with. But here's the thing, and I mean this. That shame is exactly what makes the offer dangerous. Because it doesn't arrive on a random Tuesday. It shows up at precisely the right moment, when you're tired enough, worn down enough, to mistake giving up your independence for being sensible, when surrender and wisdom start to look like the same thing, when the easy path comes dressed up in good intentions and a set of brand new keys. You've felt that pull, maybe not about a spare bedroom, maybe about something else, a decision you handed over because you didn't have the fight left in you. A version of yourself you quietly set down because it was easier than explaining why it mattered. That pull is real. And it doesn't ask permission before it shows up. David didn't make that mistake. But, and he'd be the first to tell you, it was a hell of a lot closer than he ever let on. He pushed those keys to the side, looked right at Kevin. I'm downsizing, not disappearing. Then quieter, almost to himself, I just need it to be mine. I didn't say a word. There was nothing to add to that. Because that right there, I just need it to be mine, that's the whole story. That's every man at this age who's ever stood at that exact crossroads and felt the pull going both ways. The pull toward the easy answer, the answer that costs less and makes everyone around you more comfortable. And the pull toward the thing that costs more, asks more, demands more, but lets you wake up every single morning still knowing exactly who you are. And if you've felt that pull, if you're feeling it right now, sitting wherever you are, then you already know, somewhere deep down, which one is right. I want you to imagine something. Not David's bungalow, yours. Whatever it looks like, small, nothing fancy, maybe a little worn at the edges. A kitchen that belongs to you. A front door you lock and unlock on your own terms. A morning that starts exactly the way you decide it starts. No filter running in the background. No reading the room before you've had your first cup of coffee. No quiet adjustments. What to say, what to eat, how much space you're taking up before the day's even begun. You wake up, and the first thought in your head is yours. Just yours. When's the last time that was actually true? That's what David bought. Not square footage. Not a bungalow. That feeling. The one you maybe haven't had in longer than you'd like to admit. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel. The idea that inside every person, every single one of us, there's a place that's entirely yours. A core of self that nobody gets to touch without your say-so. Not your kids, not the bank, not the divorce papers or the year that went sideways. Not any of it. That's yours. But here's the part most people miss, and I think it's important. You can only protect something you can still reach. And a man living in someone else's spare bedroom, adjusting, considering, running every little decision through the filter of, will this bother Kevin? Am I taking up too much space? Am I being difficult? That man has walked away from his own front door, not because anyone forced him, because it was just easier than fighting every day to be himself. That's what the spare bedroom does. And I want to be clear, nobody means it to. Not Kevin. Not any of these kids. They mean well. God bless them, they genuinely do. But it happens anyway. Slowly. Quietly. One small adjustment at a time. What to eat. When to sleep. Whether to pour a whiskey on a Tuesday. Every one of them now goes through someone else's comfort first. And yours? Yours comes second. And once that's the way it works, I'll tell you what, it doesn't unwork itself. That's not a home. That's a gilded cage. David chose not to live in one. He took the bungalow. Smaller, yes. Leaner, sure. But entirely, irreversibly his. He downsized his square footage. Not 1 inch of himself. And I want you to hear this, plain and simple, because I think it matters. That is not stubbornness. That is not pride in the wrong sense of the word. That is a man who looked at the years he's got left and decided, quietly, no big speech, no announcement, that they deserved a proper stage, not a borrowed one, not a guest room next to the laundry, a place where he holds the key, where he makes the call, where he is, at the end of every single day, still the author of his own life. The Stoics had a word for that. Amor fati, love of your fate. Not just accepting the life you have, but choosing it, owning it, turning the key yourself every morning for as long as you've got mornings left. David chose his. The only question, and I mean the only one that actually matters here, is whether you're still choosing yours. Real quick, before I finish, what I share here are real stories and the perspective of a man who's been around long enough to have a few opinions worth hearing. Not professional advice. Not financial counsel. Just honest conversation between people who've lived a little. Keep that in mind. There's a kind of courage that doesn't look like courage from the outside. It doesn't make a speech, doesn't raise its voice, doesn't need anyone in the room to understand it. It sits at a kitchen table, slides a set of keys to one side, and says, calm as anything, I just need it to be mine. Most people in that chair would have made the call, told themselves it was the smart thing, the mature thing, the thing a reasonable man does when the numbers don't add up and someone who loves him is offering a way out. David didn't, actually. Not because he doesn't love Kevin. He does. More than anything. But he understood something, and I'll bet you understand it too. Somewhere underneath all the fatigue and the practicality and the very reasonable arguments for the easier path, a life that belongs to you, even a smaller one, is worth more than a comfortable life that doesn't. He still calls Kevin every Sunday. Dinner once a month. Nothing between them broke. Not a thing. The only thing that changed is that David walks through his own front door every night, locks it behind him, makes the coffee too strong, in the same beat-up mug he's had for 15 years, standing at his own kitchen window, looking out at his own small yard, and wakes up the next morning still knowing exactly who he is. I'd say that's worth a little square footage, wouldn't you? Before you go, I've got one question for you. Has anyone ever tried to help you in a way that felt more like being managed Good intentions, real love, but underneath it, that quiet suggestion that maybe you weren't quite up to deciding for yourself anymore. Maybe it was a spare bedroom. Maybe it was something else entirely. Tell me about it down below. One sentence is enough. Because David's story is real. And I have a feeling yours might be too.